Blog Talk Radio.
To another edition of NFL Experts Live. Today we're going to be having some good topics on the NFL lately, but now here's Dave with a news update.
All right, 49ers linebacker Aldon Smith was stabbed a couple days ago at a party. He does have it's not too bad. He has some minor injuries, but he should be ready for training camp. Also, the NFL made some new blackout rules where only now 85% of the tickets have to be sold for it to be shown on local TV. All right.
Okay, yeah, so that's some interesting stuff on the Aldon Smith. Hopefully he gets better. For our first topic, we're going to be talking about Maurice Jones-Drew and if he's going to be holding out. If he does hold out, Dave, do you think he'll have a Chris Johnson-type year?
Well, that depends what time he comes back. If he comes back, like, halfway through camp, I think he could be fine. He's one of the best running backs in the league. I think he can adjust to that. But if he misses pretty much all of the camp, that's probably going to affect him, like you said, with a year like Chris Johnson had. But I think the Jaguars should really sign him soon if they want to keep him.
Yeah, I agree. I think running backs need all the time they can in training camp. And I think when you look at what happened with Chris Johnson last year, the Titans had other weapons on the offensive side, so they didn't really need him as much as how big Maurice Jones-Drew is for the Jaguars offense. So I'm gonna think that as well, that he will have a better season than Chris Johnson.
All right, I've got a question for you. What holdout? There's a bunch of holdouts going on. What person holding out do you think, if they continue, it will affect their team the most?
Well, I think it's going to be obviously Drew Brees. When you look at, he's pretty much the whole franchise there. When you look at the other guys like Matt Forte, the Bears have other guys. As you saw, they signed Michael Bush, and they also have Brandon Marshall, the newly signed receiver. Maurice Jones-Drew is one of the most important, but you got to look at the quarterback position, the most important position in football, and he's just the most important in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with you there because I think MJD is definitely the most important because the Jaguars don't really have too much, they don't really have anything else. The Saints don't have too much else, but they do have amazing tight end Jimmy Graham, a good running back in Darren Sproles, and I think Brees would be a huge loss. It was really effective, but just not as much as the loss of MJD for the Jaguars.
Okay, so our next topic is going to be which defensive end will have the most sacks. And Dave, in your opinion, which one could hit 25?
It's a good question. I'm going to have to say Jared Allen. He came so close last year, and I think he can get. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be him this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. He did have over 20 sacks this year, I believe 22. And there's other guys that could reach it if you look at guys like DeMarcus Ware from the Dallas Cowboys. But I'm gonna give it to Jared Allen as well. He's just the most dominant defensive end in the league, and I think he could reach 25 sacks this year. But maybe even two of them could reach it.
All right. Now, who do you think is going to start for the Seattle Seahawks at quarterback?
The Seattle Seahawks quarterback situation is a really good one because they have three really good quarterbacks. I'm going to give it to Matt Flynn. I don't think you come in and pay a guy like that the money that they did without having him go under center week one. But as of right now, Tavares Jackson is taking taking first team reps. And also, don't count out Russell Wilson. He could be in the preseason training camp. He could show that he's worthy of it. But Dave, who do you think is going to win that one?
It's close, like you said, that Jackson's taking the first rep. I think that Matt Flynn is, though. I just think he's the best quarterback there, even though I do think he's a little overrated. But Jackson started last year. He didn't really do much. And I think if they signed Flynn for a reason, I think he's going to start.
All right, sticking on the Seattle Seahawks, we got another question. Do you think that they compete with the 49ers in the division? And if so, if not, do you think they'll make the playoffs?
I don't think it's any competition for that division. I could already give the 49ers. People are talking Super Bowl for the 49ers. No one's even talking playoffs for the Seahawks. I don't think any team is in that division is competitor over the 49ers.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Seahawks could maybe slip in. It depends on how the other teams in the playoffs. The NFC is just so loaded with playoff teams right now that I don't really think they could squeeze in as well. But you never know. They have a good defense and good offense, so you never know. So for the next topic, who, Dave, in your opinion, wins the loaded AFC West? And if so, how many teams do you think will make the playoffs in that division?
I'm gonna say the Broncos are gonna win that division with a pretty good run. They've got a good running back duo with Willis McGahee and Noshawn Moreno. Good receivers with Eric Decker and Demaryius Thomas, and to top it off, an amazing quarterback with Peyton Manning. Even though he did just miss a season, he's still Peyton Manning, still one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Broncos are going to win that division, but I don't think it's going to be I think it's going to be closer than people think. That team, I think all four of those teams are playoff potential teams. When you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, who won the division 2 years ago, you look at the Raiders, who have always been in contention, and also the San Diego Chargers. You can never count them out with Phillip Rivers. They also got, even though they lost Vincent Jackson, they did bring in a new receiver from the New Orleans Saints, Robert Meacham. But I'm going to say the Broncos win the division, and the only other team to make the playoffs, I'm going to say the San Diego Chargers slip in at the wild card.
All right. Next, Louis, who do you think is going to win the Rookie of the Year, offense and defense?
Offensive Rookie of the Year, it's going to be a really good one. I'm going to give it to Robert Griffin III. I think he's just going to really fit in quick. I think he's going to show what kind of like a Cam Newton year of last year. And when you look at what he did, I think he's just going to start off fast. Our teams are, I think, if you look at compare it to Andrew Luck's team, Griffin's got a team that's more ready to win now. Not saying they are ready to win now, but they have more depth at every position than I think in the Colts. So I think I'm going to see. I think Griffin's going to have a pretty good breakout year, and I think he'll win the offensive rookie. For defensive, I don't know. I'm going to give it to Morris Claiborne, cornerback.
All right, offense, I'm going to have to go with rookie running back Trent Richardson. He's such a good running back. He's so explosive. He's got good speed, and I just think he's going to have a huge season. He's going to win the offensive rookie of the year. Defensive, I'm going to agree with you with Morris Claiborne. Just a great cornerback.
Yeah, he's just so shut down. He also kick returns, too. So for the next topic, Dave, who wins the fantasy rookie of the year, in your opinion? It's obviously offense because most leagues don't have defense, but who do you think is going to win the offensive fantasy rookie of the year?
Like I just said about, I'm going to go with Trent Richardson. Like I said, he's going to have a great season. He's going to have lots of yards, a lot of touchdowns. He's that whole Browns team. He'll get extra attempts, and he's just going to have a great season.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with Trent Richardson as well. I think when you look at Richardson, like you said, he's just going to get pretty much all of the carries. No one's there to compete with him at that spot. And also, if you look at what the Browns have at receiver, they don't have a lot. They do have guys like Greg Little and Brandon Weeden. But, I think the Richardson's going to win this, and it's going to be a great fantasy factor if you have him on your team. All
right, now I'm just going to ask you about this team. What do you think they're going to do this year? The New York Jets. What do you think of them?
The Jets, they're interesting. I don't really know what's going to be happening with them. There's just too much turmoil with the Jets right now in the locker room. I don't see them doing much this season. So, what do you think on that?
Well, who's their running back? Is it Green? Is he the starter?
Yeah, that's an interesting situation. I think it's going to be Sean Green. They do have Joe McKnight also from USC, and he really did great last year if you look at kickoffs and punt returns. But I think it's going to be Sean Green, even though Sean Green had a pretty bad season last year. But I think he'll bounce back to a good start this year, and he'll always have McKnight watching his back behind him.
So actually, if you looking at the free agency for fantasy, McKnight wouldn't be too bad of a pickup, huh?
No, he would be actually a pretty good sleeper, I think, if you look at him as a utility player or even as a backup for when one of your players has a bye, because he also kickoffs and returns. And, Dave, as looking at Patrick Peterson last year, kickoffs and punt returns are huge in fantasy.
Yep.
Okay, so that's going to do it for us today on NFL Experts Live. Make sure to join us next week and go to our YouTube page and subscribe to us. Follow me at DB Sports Talk and Dave at Crest Sports.